So many golfers spend their Monday 9 till 5 like this and then wonder why their swing feels tight and stiff at the weekend. So if that sounds like you, let me know in the comments below, and whilst you're there, check out the pinned comment for a link to my free Mobility for Golf ebook. Now the fact is, the human body loves movement, yet modern life is very static. So in today's video, I'm going to go over 4 simple trunk mobility moves you can do from home to start improving how you move and feel both on and off the golf course. Let's get stuck in. So our first mobility move is going to be our seated forward folds and backwards bends. Now this is a great way to get some motion into the spine, in flexion and extension, as well as helping to open up our hips. Really simple move. All we need is something to be seated on and something to wrap our arms around. So I'm going to be using a ball here, but you could use anything at home. What we need to do is we need to get the feet nice and wide and split the knees. So we want the knees as wide as is comfortable here. I'm going to take the ball into my chest and I'm going to wrap my arms around it, and I'm going to keep my arms wrapped around it during the entire motion. So knees nice and wide, arms wrapped around the ball, and then from here I'm slowly going to fold through my spine, rounding down towards the floor, trying to work through my maximum range of motion. So my elbows are inside my knees here, which is why we need the knees nice and wide. I'm almost using the weight of the ball to just help pull me into a little bit more flexion through that spine. And I'm going to hold at my end range of motion for a couple of seconds. From here, I'm slowly going to come up, try and get as tall as I can as I keep hugging this ball, and then work into some extension, so into a little bit of a back bend. So I'm trying to get my chest up towards the ceiling, and then again holding at that end position for a couple of seconds. We'll do another rep. So slowly rounding through my spine, working through my maximum range of motion, keeping my knees out, so I should feel a nice stretch in my hips here, as well as a nice full rounding through my spine, holding at that end range for a couple of seconds, and then slowly working up, getting as tall as I can, and then working into that extension, so that slight back bend before holding that end position for a couple of seconds. So really simple move, very effective for our spinal flexion and extension, great for opening up the hips. What we'd do, we'd look for about 5 full reps, nice and slow, nice and controlled, holding at that end range each time for 2 to 3 seconds. So our second mobility exercise is going to be our standing side bends. Now this is a super simple move, but really effective for golfers. So a lot of golfers struggle with side bend or lateral flexion, and that's made particularly worse if you're someone that spends a lot of time stuck behind a desk. Really simple move. I'm going to take my right hand overhead. Doesn't have to be locked out, it can be nice and comfortable. I'm going to take my left hand and grab my right wrist, and I'm going to side bend to the left, and I'm almost going to use my left hand to just pull me into a little bit more range of motion. Once I'm at my end range, I'm going to hold it for a couple of seconds and then return and repeat. So I'm side bending to the left. I'm using my left hand to almost just pull me into a little bit more range of motion, and I'm really opening up through this opposite side here. Now, as you do this, what you want to make sure is you're working into pure side bend. So as you move, you don't want to be coming this way or this way. So you want to imagine you're in a very narrow corridor, and as you work into your side bend, you're purely working into side bend and not coming this way or that way too much. So one more rep, using the opposite hand, gently pulling you into that extra range of motion, really opening up through this opposite side, holding at that end position for a couple of seconds. So we'd work through about 5 reps one way, and then obviously swapping over 5 reps the other way, holding at that end range of motion for a couple of seconds each time. Before we get to the final 2 mobility moves, just a super quick message. If you'd mind taking 2 seconds to just hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, as it really does help the channel out. And if there's any future content, any topics you'd like to see videos on, just leave a comment below as well. Let's get into the final 2 moves. So our third mobility move is going to be our half kneeling trunk rotations. Now this is a great way to get some rotation into that upper body. All we need for this move is a wall and something to act as feedback between the wall and your lead knee. So I've got a foam roller here, but if you're doing this at home, it could be anything you like. So I'm going to get into a 90-90 setup. So 90-degree angle between the ankle, knee, and hip on my front leg, and the same on my trail leg. I'm going to take my object, so in my case the roller, place it against the wall and the inside of this front knee, and I'm going to get nice and tall from the rear knee, hip up to the shoulder. So feeling like you get nice and tall, hips tucked under, you might get a little stretch through this rear quad. I'm going to have both arms out in front, and I'm going to keep this roller in place, and I'm going to keep this arm on the wall as I open up through my trunk away from the wall. So I'm really opening up through this chest. I'm trying to create as much separation between the fingertips as I can. And again, I'm going to hold at my end range of motion for a couple of seconds before returning and repeating. So I'm nice and stacked through here. This is going to act as feedback. If you kind of try and cheat and use your hips, you're going to see that fall to the floor. So really important to keep that in position. And then from here, opening up through that trunk, getting a nice big stretch through the trunk, holding at your end range of motion, wherever that is. So if that's there, absolutely fine. Just hold it there. As you do more reps, that will start to open up. So you're opening up through that chest, holding at the end range of motion each time, taking a nice breath in that position, really trying to take ownership of that rotation. Now, as you do this, one thing to be aware of is we're looking for trunk rotation. So it's not just how far you can move the arm, it's imagining almost like a laser coming out of the center of the chest, and you're really trying to open up through there, holding at that end range each time and owning that end range of position. Again, we do about 5 reps one way and then around 5 reps the other way, holding at end range for a couple of seconds and really starting to get some good rotation through that trunk. So our final mobility move is going to be our kneeling trunk extension. So this is a great way to get some extension into that trunk as well as to help open up through the shoulders. So all we need for this move is a wall, and we're going to be in the tall kneeling position. So if you want to use something under your knees just for a little bit of comfort, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to face the wall. I'm going to be in this tall kneeling position to start with. I'm going to have my hands at about shoulder height, and I'm going to have my arms straight and pressed into the wall. From here, I'm going to press my hands into the wall, and I'm going to sit back towards my heels as I press my hands into the wall and really help open up through my shoulders and work into some extension through my trunk. I'm going to hold at the end range for a couple of seconds and then work back up to the start position. So we'll go for another rep. So I'm pressing my hands into the wall. I'm sinking back towards my heels, trying to keep my chest nice and proud. And in this end position here, you should really feel that through your shoulders and through that mid to upper back area. Holding again for a couple of seconds and then returning. So we'll do one more. Press into the wall, sink those hips back, nice proud chest, so feeling like the chest is almost working forward towards the wall, holding it in that end position, getting a nice big stretch through those shoulders, through that mid to upper back, owning this position, so taking a nice breath in this position and then working back up. So very simple move, but really is going to light up those shoulders, that mid to upper back, and help work into that extended position. So again, working through 5 repetitions, nice and slow, nice and controlled, holding at that end range for 2 to 3 seconds each time. And there you have it, 4 great trunk mobility moves to help you move and feel better both on and off the golf course. Give them a go and let me know in the comments below how you get on.